So they don't have all the funds. Septic system. Oh, okay. It's a little bit of a long shot.
That he wanted.
Yeah. We called yesterday on my drive.
You guys ready? Good evening. Tonight is April 28th, 2026. I'll call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Thank you all for being here, members of the public, staff, councilors. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Here. Councilman Rael.
Here.
Councilman Jason.
Here.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
President.
Yes,
Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Matt, would you just?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the seal of perfect friendship amongst the United Cultures.
Real quick, before we move on to the agenda, councilors, I'd like to take a moment of silence. We've lost a few community members, or former community members, Father Andrew, former Questa Police Fire Chief Lawrence Lovato, as well as other community members. If we can take a brief moment of silence. All right. Next item is approval of the agenda. You have the agenda before you. You have any changes to the agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gonzalez, second by Councilman Gallegos.
Can I have a discussion there?
Sure.
So why do we keep moving the public comment?
It was meant to be at the end of the meeting, last meeting too, but
But it was up,
yeah, well, it's gonna stay at the end of the meeting.
so from now we can expect to see it at the
Yes.
bottom.
So I have a motion and I have a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Ortega. Yes. Councilman Rael.
Yes.
Councilman Jason.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Yes.
Next item is approval of the minutes, regular council meeting, April 14th, 2026.
Mayor, I have 3 corrections. On line 1, my name is misspelled. Well, it's actually line 8. When you call the meeting order, so you IS, not S. And then on line 140, Molly Stroh, delete the P, it's STROH. And then on the very last page where it's approved by Mayor Pro Tem Councilwoman Ruiz, it's misspelled. Thank you. With those corrections, I make a motion to approve the minutes, Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, a second by Councilman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Ortega. Yes. Councilman Rael.
Yes.
Councilman Jason.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Yes.
Next item is employee recognition, years of service, Ms. Shannon.
Mayor and Council, I will call up Matt, and he will do the first presentation.
So we have Mr. Rael, Augustine Rael, who's been with us for a very long time. We really appreciate his continued support and tutelage that he gives us at Questa Fire and EMS. Again, we are very appreciative of it, and we look forward to working with him even more.
Very good.
Would you please give him that for me?
How many
For
years
your
of
audience.
service?
So-
Ms. Shannon,
Thank you, Augustine.
how many years of service does he have?
Thank you, guys.
He's been here for 11 years.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Robert.
Judge Rael
What?
and Ms. Dina Coleman.
You want me to do something, right? Okay. Gentlemen, ladies, folks, I'm here to recognize this young lady who is my alternate judge. They tell me what to do all the time, too. But she's been an employee for the village of Questa now 11 years, so we want to recognize her and thank her for being part of, especially meant to be part of my judicial branch. So please.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, just want to say something real quick. Those guys that you guys have working out there, your staff out there on the roads, man, those guys are incredible. They do a heck of a good job.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello? Can you hear us? Testing?
Oh, Mark is a little brother.
Yeah, I saw it. That's what I was actually, that's probably.
Because you said,
Because I used to.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's what I was trying to say, it's easier.
No.
No, I can't.
Now we can do, okay,
Yes, sounds good.
sorry, everyone of the
I
audience.
can't.
We'll move on. Next item is item number 7, public hearing, discussion, consideration, decision. Special exception for Denise Gallegos, 2396 A Old Red River Road. Mr. Lafore.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In your packets, there's a special exception application for Miss Denise Gallegos to place a mobile home on her 1.34 acre property located at 2396A Old Red River Road. That particular property is zoned within the RA1 district. Placement of the mobile home is allowed and permitted by special exception. So Ms. Gallegos is attending virtually, so we'll stand for any questions.
So the special exception is because it's rated a RA1, not because it has less acreage than it should be.
No, our current ordinance requires all mobile homes be placed by special exception
So all mobile.
in all districts.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Does that include RVs?
No,
It's just mobile homes. So we're just
RVs aren't addressed in the ordinance, just mobile
singling
homes.
out people in mobile homes.
The ordinance singles them
That
out.
we are, though, that's our ordinance. So we're singling them out.
It's an ordinance that you passed on the 4-0 vote, Councilor. If I remember, you voted yes on that ordinance too, so. If you're saying we, I guess that means you, as well as everyone else.
That's exactly what I said, we.
Okay, let's move on. I'll open up the public hearing at 6:12. Do I have anyone here for the public hearing? Ms. Gallegos, do you want to speak about what you're doing a little bit?
Yes, we're moving a mobile home from Aurora Condo to there on that property. There was a mobile home before there, that's what you're getting used to live. So my dad has all those set up for mobile home spaces, everything's set up there. And the lines and everything is already there.
Thank you, Ms. Gallegos. Is there anyone here for the public hearing?
But there was a mobile home there probably about 15 years or 15 years.
I'll close the public hearing at 6:13.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Ortega, second by Councilman Armijo. Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Yulisa, yes. Councilman Bernhardt,
Yes.
Councilman Jason Rizal.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Yes.
Next item is the presentation, Site Southwest. Carlos Jamora,
Thank you.
Danny Wilson, and Angela Ortega.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I am going to tag team with the consultant team that's been working on the land use ordinance for the village. Danielle and Carlos are the two people. And are they able to, you can see them and they are able to hear us and we are able to hear them. Confirm that. Hi, Carlos.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see some of you again, and glad to be here to present virtually for the Questa ordinance and use code update.
Yeah, stay nice to see everybody. We'll try being up there in person at the next meeting, but yeah, just wanted to introduce ourselves, introduce some content, and yeah, nice to see you.
So I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm Angela Bordegari, and I work with North Central New Mexico Economic Development District. You may know Felicity Fonseca. She's our Community Development Director, and I'm a planner with her. I'm a trained planner and working with the village to look at your land use ordinance and zoning maps. And we brought in Carlos and Danny to provide some information about that tonight as far as what we're doing. And I wanted to just let you know that if you're not familiar with North Central or some of the work that we've done, we work a lot with you guys. And in fact, I think you all just got an award for $4 million for a grid modernization project. I think that's just very recent from the MNER, the Natural Resources and Mining Department. We also do a lot of funding navigation support, as well as some help with grant administration. And so just to ground that in that context. So I think unless you have any questions for me or this project, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Carlos and Danny and take us through, in your packet, this document, the Village of Questa proposed zoning amendment intentions / direction. All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Carlos Zamora. So yeah, as Angela was saying, so we're doing a zoning code analysis. So this is phase 1 of a project that the ED is working on, that Angela's working on. In your packet, you'll see some of the intentions that we have. Just to start out, so these are the folks that are working on it. So myself and Dean Wilson, most of us working on a previous project in Questa as well, so pretty familiar with this area. The project purpose, so right now we're in phase 1. So phase 1 is just evaluating the zoning code and land use ordinances in order to determine what pathway we want to take for updates. So we've been chatting with some staff, with some of the counselors, and trying to figure out an assessment of what a direction could be for code amendments. After we're done with this, then we'll move into phase 2, which is actually implementing the code amendments that Questa wants to see. So one of the things we're working on is updating the zoning map. So right now we've got this zoning map. So this is I believe the most recent zoning map that we have. So it's added some of the heavy industrial, some of the residential commercial, and then changed some of the ARO, some of the agriculture to the R8 1. So those are some recent changes that have been happening. Our process is we're looking at what's going on with the existing code. And if you look at the document that we provided in the packet, one of the things that seems apparent is that the zoning code contains a lot of elements that don't seem to reflect what the community's land practices are. So we've heard a lot about a lot of variants and exceptions for basic kinds of requests, for building, typical residential and things like that. We've seen that a lot of regulations are kind of difficult to understand, and housing is more difficult to build than a lot of the community wants to see. So we'll fill out more of that assessment, but that's so far what we're seeing. The main thing that I wanted to chat with the counselors about and kind of introduce tonight, we don't have to clarify all of this, but getting into some of these recommended intentions. The idea is that we'd like council to have some kind of agreed upon direction for the phase 2 amendments. So what I've kind of laid out so far is absolutely not fixed. All of this can change, but it's 4 kind of intentions or themes here. So the first one is just simplifying the review process. So thinking about how things are approved, how things are, go through the staff review process. So within that, there's reducing the needs for some of the variances and special exceptions, but also just simplifying and clarifying how applicants apply for different requests, and then how things are reviewed either at the staff level or the council level. The second recommendation that we're looking at is encouraging more residential and commercial uses. So that's allowing more flexibility for different kinds of commercial and residential developments. It's allowing more types of residential. So allowing starter homes, and compounds, casitas, attached housing, different kinds of configurations on smaller lots, on larger lots, in different ways. So providing some of that flexibility, that's something that we've heard so far. And then also allowing more commercial and residential along areas of transportation facilities. So thinking about where can development go, where is it already suitable, and just allowing that or encouraging it to go into the places. The third kind of theme we're looking at is simplifying, revising, and clarifying. So right now, the land use code is kind of a hodgepodge from 1974, and there's also some elements from the 40s, and there's some elements from the 80s, and the 90s, and the 2000s, and the 2020s, and so we want to just integrate some of those together so that it's a easy, understandable code. We want to try to organize that, clarify that, reformat that, make the tables, make flow charts, make it just really easy for staff and the public to understand what the code is. The last one, consistent expectations and protections, is mainly about trying to clarify what the regulations actually are. So trying to just make sure that things like, where's the front of the lot? Where's the sides of the lot? Where's the rear of the lot? What kinds of regulations apply and when? Just trying to make it really clear what individuals can expect and what individuals can think about as far as protection of sensitive areas of residential and things like that. So trying to provide some of those standards and guidance. Let me flip really quick to the next slide, and then we'll go back and we can talk about that previous one. What we're looking to do is at the next meeting, the May 12th Village Council meeting, we'd like to have some resolution that outlines what the intention, what the direction is, so that we could then work on that phase 2 and figure out how can we, with NCNM, EDD, start implementing those recommendations. So we don't have to get into the nitty-gritty kind of things right now about, what kinds of sites would allow what exactly is allowed or not allowed. Is it 12 days or 14 days? Is it 365 days or 280 days? We don't have to get into those details right now. That would be phase 2. But we do want to get some sense of, are these the right kind of intentions? Is this the right kind of direction that the council wants to see? So I know we don't have too much time right now, but open to talk about some of these intentions either now or in a future date. So we have set up some phone calls and have chatted with some of the councilors and the mayor, and are open to have more conversations with different folks around what we kind of want to see. But again, the idea for this is just to lay out a broad kind of direction, and then start working on how can we start cutting off those pieces and implementing. Any questions on some of those thoughts?
And Carlos, I might add one clarifying point there. If folks need to reference a map, we do have some maps available. Again, as Carlos mentioned, our goal tonight is really to think we need to lay out the groundwork for our actions moving forward and to make sure we're focusing on the right things for Questa. So not getting too nitty gritty, but we do have maps to refer to if that is helpful as part of the discussion tonight.
Thank you, Danny. So that was a lot.
Well, no questions are allowed from the audience.
So.
Just one question for you, Angela, of the Site Southwest team is the work you guys are doing, is they're contemplating going to, Construction Industries Division for permitting, if you guys thought that far in advance. So if somebody's gonna build a home or do a commercial building, is that methodology gonna be laid out in this as well?
Thank you for the question, Councilor Jaramillo. The answer is yes, and because we'll be looking at the whole, like the development review process and teasing out what the process is, basically what happens now for different permits for different types of development, but the role of the Construction Industries Division. And if Carlos, you want to add to that, I welcome you to, or Danny.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that I could understand the question entirely, but yeah, CID is doing a lot of permitting. Whether this is CID or whether it's the county or whether it is the village, any of those reviews, we're still looking at just how are applicants applying for those, and then how can applicants go through that process. Just making sure that that's consistent.
Can you still hear us?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
There we go, yep.
Yeah, we hear you better now too.
How long of a process do you see this taking?
Try that again.
How long of a process do you see this taking?
No, we cannot hear any of that.
Darn.
We'll give it your grandkids in
Right?
there. And we can get a grant for it.
We might.
Can you hear us now?
That sounds good.
You just have to repeat the
Okay.
questions.
I can do that. Okay, so we'll try that again. Councilor Jaramillo has a question about permitting and
Permitting if the new ordinance will contemplate individuals going to CID for the permitting process.
Carlos, Danny, the question is if this code process includes laying out applications. You can't hear me. Darn, okay.
Angela, I see you moving, but I don't can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Loud and clear.
gonna speak to the owl, I guess. So can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, Councilor Jaramillo's question relates to the development and permit process And with respect to the role of the state's construction industries division role in this process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the zoning amendment process doesn't change CID, doesn't change building codes, doesn't change building safety, infrastructure requirements, things like that. We're only getting into the zoning code elements that are the local zoning code, the local regulations. So it doesn't change what the inspection or building permit review process is. It's just changing, basically from Jacob's perspective, from staff's perspective, what can staff and council approve or not approve before going to that permit review process. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sort of.
I understand what he's saying, but currently there's some mixture going to the county, some mixture going to the state. I think for Jake's or Mr. LaForet's perspective, giving them one way to go. And as one council member, and I can't speak for anybody else, I think the permitting and that should go to the state. And the inspections should go to the state.
Did you catch that, Carlos, Danny?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor and Councilor, the way that those are reviewed, we still wouldn't be getting into that. I think that would be a pretty different question based on what you guys want to do, what there's capacity for, what the county has capacity for, and then whether you send things to the state, the county, or do that in-house. We're really just focusing, for this stuff, it's mainly just focusing on what the local jurisdiction's regulations are. We could try to look a little bit at some of what the permitting process is, but it's mainly just what's done in-house from a local perspective.
Then I
agree that is still a major issue for a lot of communities in New Mexico as well. So I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying it's a little bit of a separate process than looking at amending just the local jurisdictions, just the Village of Questa's zoning regulations.
If I may, Carlos, this is part of the process of what we're assessing is how the development is reviewed internally, basically the processes that Questa has and what Jake does. So this will become clearer with respect to what types of development go which way. Does that make sense? I mean, we'll be illuminating this, so everybody knows what the process is now, which you're going to know from you, and then whatever's recommended as far as practice or by what's the word? I don't know, implementation manual, as it were, for the village.
Right.
It is confusing everywhere. It's with county, San Miguel County and Village of Pecos. There's a lot of local and county and state role.
Just one last question. Is it under number 2 where you guys would look at short-term rentals?
Yeah, I think for number 2, that would be part of the short-term rentals is we'd have to figure out what does the community want as far as short-term rentals. How do you want to regulate that or allow those? What would be the process for allowing that? That would be part of that kind of second theme. We might not be able to get to all of the recommendations, but yeah, if we do get to short-term rentals, that would be part of that second theme. What we'll have to do after this process, is we'll have to figure out what are the priority amendments to make, and do we include short-term rentals or do we not? Do we try to have more casitas or do we not? And so once we're kind of done with some of the broad direction and assessment, we'd be able to get more into what are the specific things that the community wants to change, and how do those change.
Thank you, Carlos.
I think he had another question, which was how long was it gonna take?
Oh, yeah. How long of a process do you guys see this? Is another 6 months? Or I was glad that you were here to see that example of Ms. Gallegos before that to us. From my perspective only, that should be something that's administratively signed off on by Mr. Laforet or Ms. Shannon, and stuff like that shouldn't be coming up before us. And it's just a simple thing of moving a mobile home to a parcel of land that shouldn't come before us. And same thing, Councilor Gonzalez's family did the same thing last week, came before us, and it should be an administrative function. So, I guess, yeah, how much longer do you see this process taking? And yes, I'm one of the ones that hasn't talked to the team.
We're here. They're here. So thank you, Councilor Jaramillo, thank you for that question. I would want to ask that myself. I'm gonna let Carlos break it down a little bit for you, but just off the top, we structured this so that the first is to assess all of your different codes and from different timelines and bringing them together, which is like a big basket that they've been working through. And so this first phase we're in, the one we're talking about tonight, is getting us organized to then do like the update to the code. And so the timing depends on what priorities are and then, I'll let Carlos pick up from there as far as the next phase and how we foresee that happening in a timeline.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor. Yeah, great question there. Some of it will depend on when NCN EDD can start the next contract. But from the start of a contract, we can go as quick as 6 months. 6 months would include kind of 2 months of approval period, but some of that also depends on how many changes are we trying to get through, and are we trying to pass some things earlier on and do a smaller, quicker project, or are we trying to do a more complex, more a longer, more intensive project? So some of that will just depend on how big the project is, how big the scope is, and then some will also depend on how much complexity goes into it. So for some communities, we'll work with them and it's very easy. We can draft kind of simple changes and the community says, all good, let's just move forward, and we're able to pass that in just a matter of a few months. For other communities, they want to have a lot of in-depth kind of conversations about what the wording should be, what the process should be, what the specific legal language should be, and so that could make things take a lot longer. So the review process that you guys want will determine a lot of it, but generally I think that we could make quite a significant number of changes within hopefully less than 6 months.
And I might add one more item to that too, Carlos. I think, especially as we're thinking about that item number 1, in trying to make all of this simpler, clearer, more transparent for community members, I think that we would have to take into consideration that time it takes to roll out and communicate those changes to the public as well. So just making sure that in the spirit of this transparency and simplification, making sure we do have time to let the community know about those changes and make sure that folks know where to go to learn more and that everything is really clear. So it's not like the project ends and then it's up to staff. I mean, it could be, but we would also want to provide some tools to help that onboarding process for the community.
Sorry, guys, one more last question, and this could be actually a question for Ms. Shannon. So, at one point, our attorneys had a draft ordinance and, you could, guys on my right side, remember, we were gonna have a couple of, retreats, and we never had those retreats with that draft ordinance. Ms. Shannon, do you contemplate giving that the ordinance, or are we starting from scratch?
Mayor and council, we are not starting from scratch. We're trying to look at the current ordinance and see what else needs to be added or changed to make it better for Questa. So we may, with Side Southwest, have some kind of retreat to get more input if they think that that's needed. If not, we'll present to you what they present.
But the ordinance that Mr. DeFlippo had worked on, so we're not gonna use that as the basis of our.
No, that was really big and cumbersome. So I don't think we're gonna go that far. We may implement some of those items in there, but we'll have Side Southwest work through that.
I believe Southwest already has that ordinance, Mr. DeFlippo's ordinance.
That's correct. They have that ordinance, and that's part of this assessment, that they're combing through it. It's part of this assessment, what to keep, what to change. It'll be shaped into a new ordinance. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. We want to create, and some of this will depend on scope. You know, if there's a very small budget and a very tight timeline, then maybe we'll just try to prioritize some stuff and do some simple amendments. But ideally, we would be able to rewrite the code and get a really good baseline for everyone to be able to use. It's digital, easy to update, easy to see, easy to find, easy to understand. And it would be a blend of using the existing language and then updating that with other things we've worked on with rural communities, and then looking at the proposed ordinance that was also created and figuring out how can we incorporate some of those guidelines while still keeping it really simple for the village.
I have questions. Anyone else has any? So you say you're working with counselors. Obviously, I worked with Councilor Jaramillo. I haven't been in touch with anybody. Who are you working with?
So I know when I started the project, I met with the mayor and staff, Jake, and then these guys came in. Carlos and Danny have been working on this assessment of the code, and as part of that, they've sought interviews and had interviews with, I believe, definitely
Myself.
2, and the mayor, and I'm not sure how to,
No.
okay. So that's the answer to that, and I can let Carlos,
I'll answer that as well. Ms. Shannon did ask all of you to contact Southwest. She sent out an email asking you to provide a date possible. That's why I set up my meeting. I'm sure that's why Councilor Daryl set up her meeting off that email, dates available. So councilors, Ms. Shannon did provide you with that opportunity, and you still have that opportunity.
So my next question is, there was, this is probably for the mayor though, there was a committee being put together by the village of Questa. Where is that as far as the committee for the ordinance committee?
The planning zone committee is, we have 3 people, and I'm looking for 2 more.
What are the people's names on that committee?
It's Evelyn Coggins, Dominic Verduran, and Deborah Martinez.
Dominic Martinez, you said?
Dominic Verduran.
And the others?
Deborah Martinez.
can you hear that? Did you hear that, Carlos and Danny, the mayor's answer?
I didn't really hear that. Was it around the planning commission, the planning commissioners, and what their involvement would be?
It's mostly, Councilor Ortega asked about the status or of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the mayor responded with that status.
So it's a committee, not a commission.
No,
Committee for you guys? Okay. Your Planning and Zoning Committee.
Yeah. Volunteers, I guess.
And that's by ordinance, right? Yeah.
Then my next question is, how long have you guys been working on this project?
Well, I've been with North Central,
No, but the specific project.
this specific project, good question. I'd like to illuminate that. I started working with North Central, about 2 years ago. And early on in that, I was sent up here. I came up to Questa and met with the mayor, and we were starting this discussion because we at North Central had been requested to review zoning and code ordinances. And so we provide technical assistance. So I was up here probably, I believe it was last summer. It was hot. So I was up here, and then I basically heard from you all what were some of the needs regarding zoning and different land use scenarios. And then we hired Danny and Carlos with Site Southwest as their firm to actually do this assessment after, like, to build on what we had already done at North Central, what I had done. So it's been in process for about a year, I would say.
My next question is, what is the village of Questa paying the firm to get this done? Whether it's you or all you together?
Absolutely, yeah, no, that should be known, right? It's public funding.
Yeah.
We get North Central as technical, we're like a council of governments. We get money for capacity grants, and we are paying Site Southwest to do this. It's a scope of work, discrete scope of work for this, and it's about $20,000. So that's for this.
Point of clarification, though, the village is not paying Southwest for that. That's
correct.
Being funded by North Central. I think to your question, Councilor, the village is paying it.
That's correct. Thank you for that clarification.
And then my next question is, you talked about a $4 million award grant. What was that entail?
So that's just something I'm not working on, but I know from Felicity Fonseca, because we do a lot of that. We provide grant assistance, writing grants, et cetera, for you guys. And before I came here, I asked her anything to give you information about. And apparently this is a new grant, and it's for grid modernization. So
we were awarded that grant? Is that what
you were awarded it. You just got it. $4 million.
$4 million grant.
Yes.
For what, did you say?
Grid modernization.
Can you clarify what?
I can clarify, that's part of a bigger $30 million grant package that we applied for our solar project.
So this has to do with the hydrogen project for the solar, right?
For the solar, yes.
So that, if we don't do the
part of it.
hydrogen plant, we don't get the $4 million.
Correct.
Yeah, there's several going on right now. This solar project, there's another consultant involved in that, and the paperwork's going through for the solar piece of it. And then this is another piece, this grant, and then there's yet another grant. So regarding, or that's been requested of congressional directed spending. There's two different, I believe they're grants for that. So there's like 4 different grant sources.
I guess the mayor just told us that'll be a total of 30 million?
No, it wasn't approved. It was only, we applied for 30 million and only $4.1 million was awarded.
But then we got the $25 million grant.
Yeah, and that
So
one's
we're
not,
at 29.
that one hasn't been, we haven't got the paperwork on that one yet.
That's in the works, right?
That's in
Doing the
the works.
paperwork.
But that's in the 2027 fiscal year budget, so that money we won't even hear anything about that money until after July 1st.
I guess my next question is for the mayor. So shouldn't we as a council and mayor meet and discuss how we're gonna go forward with something of this nature before we just give a free run to somebody else to make us a bunch of, laws and zoning things that we maybe aren't wanting to do in Questa or are wanting to do? Shouldn't we set some sort of parameters on how we want things?
We did.
Or suggestions?
We did before you were on the council.
So you have something to that effect that I can actually.
It's called the ICIP. There's one of them, and then we've been talking about zoning, fixing our zoning ordinance for probably as long as I've been on the
I think a copy of that, Karen.
Copy of what, sir?
ICEP.
ICIP. That will tell you what we're looking for solar money.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Sure, thank you. And part of this, our job as planners is to communicate this and be, about the process, about the background and history. And as Mayor Ortega said, it's been in the works with the village before my time, before your time. And part of what they've already done is started to develop like a narrative background piece on the, what is it? The genesis of this project and where we are. I'm not promising that right now, but so that's clear for all of you, because you're new as well, new counselors, some of you. So we're all on the same page and know where we're at as far as what we're doing right now and what was said before. And hopefully tonight we have something to come away with from you, where we're going to be able to put that in this resolution for the next meeting.
And councilors, if I may, just to add, I think what I was also understanding was, when will there be more involvement on what action should be done? Because I am not trying to make any changes because of what I want myself. Danny worked on the comp plan process. So some of this is thinking about a lot of community engagement that went into the comp plan process, thinking about where does the community want to go? What does the community kind of want? What is the community thinking about from economic development in a residential housing kind of perspective? So right now it's really just broadly looking at that. When we start getting into details of what should happen with short-term rentals, what should happen with RVs, what should happen with, should single wides be permitted by right or not? Should you be allowed to put a second home on a property? Should you be allowed to have a property that's less than an acre? All of those details would be things that we'd have to talk to the community about, right? We'd have to talk to councils about. So I'm not making any of those decisions. I'm trying to kind of clarify some of what we're kind of hearing in this direction. So the recommended intention is that it seems like there's desire to have those kinds of conversations, but as far as what should those laws be, that 100% has to be a process that we'd be engaging with the community on, having those conversations on. We were trying to have some of those conversations earlier in April, weren't able to get all of that worked out, the logistics and work studies and shops to chat with counselors and stuff like that. So we're trying to just kind of finish up this process so we can actually start the implementation. But I think you're exactly right. That for the phase 2, it will absolutely involve conversations to figure out if these are the right intentions or the direction, then what are the details? And how can we make sure that those laws are reflecting on the community wants? And Danny, do you want something?
I was going to just mention too, essentially we're looking to you through these intentions to clarify our scope of work, to provide us with some guardrails for how we're going to do this work moving forward and how we're going to have those conversations, because we'll need to prioritize at some level. We can't boil this ocean. It's a big task. And so from what we've heard so far, and this is just initial ideas, these are sort of the 4 parameters for that scope. And we just want to understand from you all if that's right, if we are headed in the right direction with that focus, or if there's something that we're missing that is sort of critical in your understanding that needs to be amended or revised as part of your zoning code and land use ordinances and policies. So that's really, you guys are helping us set the agenda right now for what our work will be moving forward. And like I said, we're not making a decision on it tonight. We want you to sit with this before we meet with you again in May.
Councilors, do you have any questions?
No, Mayor. No questions.
No questions, thank you. I think we talked about this on the phone. I think it's good that you came and presented for the 2 councilmen that didn't go through the phone call, and for the public as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Action items. Discussion, consideration, decision, resolution 2026-09 FY 2026 Q3 State Bars. Ms. Shannon.
Mayor and council, I am presenting these budget adjustment requests to you. I did work with Ms. Segura to get them together, but I'm presenting them because I had to finally get into the LGBMS and put them in there. We had a little bit of technical issues with her login. It has been since corrected. So in your packet is the resolution number 2026-09, which is the third quarter budget adjustment request. I just want to highlight a few of the items. We are currently charging zoning permits. So far, we have $800 in revenue. I put an extra couple $100 in there for the future in case we do have some more of those fees that we can charge people. We have rental fees of $2,700 for the youth center. I have an increase for travel for elected officials and employee training of $3,000 each for the governing body. That hopefully will get us through the fiscal year 2026. I will be asking QEDF for $25,000 for the Rapid Action Fund, which you can all use next year for your travel. A lot of these adjustments are due in ambitions, an increase in their fees. As we have added computers, as we have added people, as we have added phones, their fees go up. We also, everybody now has a duo where you have to, when you log in and they have to verify it's you, that's a safety feature, and that also costs money. And each one of those things costs additional funds. In the general administration, I'm increasing contract other services for $36,000. Part of that is money that we paid to Andamo Sanchez for that road that went behind the school to the well. We also had an increase in TextMyGov subscriptions because we've been using that TextMyGov to the constituents quite a bit. We have in fire protection, $10,800 for repair of fire trucks. And also $27,505 for bunker gear. We did get a grant to reimburse us for part of that bunker gear. We have in Fund 21700, we have contributions of $2,950. That's so far what we've received for the healing field. In donations, in Fund 21800, we have $28,033 for LORE, for EMS grants. They are going to be getting cardiac units to update the ones that they have been using. We have in Fund 30400 is our streets fund. We have roads for Cabresta Road 3, a grant of $520,743. And we have some other little things that we're picking up for additional income in utilities. I stand for any questions on that resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Jaramillo, second by Councilwoman Gallegos. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Gallegos.
Yes.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Yes.
Councilman Jason.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Yes. Next item is discussion, consideration, decision, fiscal year 2026 Q3 local bar.
Mayor and council, this budget adjustment request moves money within funds within each of the budgets. A couple of them, the highlights are in the general administration, salaries, part-time positions. We're adding $13,638. That covers Miss Angela Levy. She is taking care of our records retention and making an inventory list for us so we can have end of year inventory to go through each of the departments. And another one is in law enforcement, overtime. They have been short-staffed throughout the year, and they have had to work overtime. So we are increasing that by $23,000. For emergency medical services, Fund 20600, supplies, field supplies, $13,250. As the EMS call volumes go up, they need more supplies in those ambulances, and so that's what that is going to cover. In fire protection, we're also adding to travel for employees. Chief Bobbick is cross-training EMS and fire, so the fire people are getting to be EMS, EMTs, and then the EMS people are learning the fire side of it too. So several of them are going to training. For law enforcement protection, we're moving $2,800 to cover part of the cost of the new vehicles. In Fund 50100, we're adding $4,000 to cover the cost of that Connex box that we bought from the Taos Bakes people when they were leaving. It's still over at the Taos, at the business park. We're trying to figure out where we're gonna park that Connex box over here, but we have purchased it. Under 50500 ambulance service, we are adding monies for overtime and for travel. And then in the Fund 52800 rental enterprise, when we did the addition for the building that we have there, we had to have an inspection for the fire on the new section, but we had to upgrade the old section. So that covers the cost of that because it wasn't covered in the grant. So we covered the cost of the upgrade for $1,500 from this grant, from this fund. I stand for any questions.
More questions for me? Motion to approve, Mayor.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman Gallego, second by Councilman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Ortega.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl.
Yes.
Councilman Jason.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Next
Thank you.
item is discussion, consideration, decision, approval of roommate for Councilor Daryl Ortega, Naleo Conference, Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Inside your packet, you will see that I have presented with you guys information about Councilman Daryl Ortega wanting to go out to the NALEO Annual Conference. I'm bringing this to council because per our policy, we are allowed 215 per night for the out-of-state travel. And this one is going to be $299 per night. So I stand for any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gonzalez, second by Councilman Gallego. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Ortega.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl.
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Abstain. Next item is discussion, consideration, approval from a room rate for Mayor John Ortega, Naleo Conference, Los Angeles, California.
Again, Mayor and Council, you'll find within your packet the same conference for the NALEO Annual Conference for Mayor John Ortega. Regarding the same thing, the room rate is at $215 and his is going to be at $299. I stand for any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gonzalez, second by Councilman Gallego. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Ortega.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl.
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilman Daryl Ortega.
Yes. Next item is discussion, consideration, and decision, ratification of room rate for Councilor Brent Jaramillo, NLC Congressional Conference, Washington, D.C.
Mayor and Council, in your packet, I have provided you with a conference that Councilor Brent Jaramillo had went out to the National League of Congressional Conference. Upon the initial part of his travel being put together, we were unable to obtain the information for what the room rate was going to be. prior to him leaving out. So in that, you can see that it is notarized without the room rate being on that outgoing travel. Upon his return, we were notified that it was over the rate, so I just want to go ahead and bring that in for ratification so that we can stay in compliance, especially after getting guidance from our auditors. I stand for any questions.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Councilman Ortega, second by Councilman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Next item is matters from our attorney. Matters from our attorney.
Can't hear.
Can you hear us?
Okay, check.
Well, we gotta use them.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Speaking of swearing, council, I know that it's
Can't hear you.
I can't use it.
placebo.
I think it's your speaker, Marcus.
You're coming out muffled. Can't hear you. Cheers, you're sounding muffled.
It's yours.
That's mine. Says I have no matters for the council this evening.
What's that?
He says he has no matters for the council this evening.
We have questions for him?
Right, can you hear us, Mr. Rath?
I don't think it's our speaker though, because we were able to hear the other speakers. I think it's a speaker on his part.
Can you hear me, Attorney Rael?
Sorry, hold on.
Attorney Rael, can you hear me?
He can't hear you.
No?
But he can hear you, but we can't hear him.
Well,
He's gonna sign out and send that.
oh,
Can you hear me now, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, now I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, yes. I was just saying, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I have no matters for approval from the village council this evening.
I have a question for you.
One counselor.
Good evening, Attorney Rael. This is Councilor Ortega. The reason I'm asking, what's the status of still putting something on the agenda or making a policy? You got that done yet?
Putting what item on the agenda, Councilor?
Putting any item, if a councilwoman wants to put something on the agenda, you said you were working on something, you and, I think her name is, yeah,
The rules and procedures.
rules and procedures, I don't know. You said you had something on file here, but there wasn't, but then you were working on it.
I sent you the state statute and the guidance from the municipal league in an email about, what the rules and requirements are for putting an item on the agenda for a village councilor. As I told you, if a councilor wants to put something on the agenda, there needs to be, and the mayor does not want it on the agenda, then there needs to be 3 councilors to overrule the mayor to put that item on the agenda.
Did you get that in writing? So Karen has it in the office, because people of the public are asking how to get stuff on the agenda too, and they don't have no way of understanding how that takes place. So you said there's a simple paper that they should have here, but we came in and I couldn't find one. Neither Karen or Valerie. I got the Robert Rules of Order on a 200-page book to read.
Yes, I'll send that up to Valerie. I sent it to you in an email, but I'll send it to Valerie first thing in the morning when I get back to my office.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Rules and procedures. Ordinance should be up for adoption next meeting.
Also, we're gonna bring something up, or you are gonna bring something up. Or we're gonna vote on that?
Yep.
I guess he answered the question. The Mayor did. I have a message to you from, Robert Monahan, says he can't wait to have a cup of coffee with you. He says you know who he is.
Is that for me, Councilor Ortega?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be glad to send it to Valerie first thing in the morning. It's just guidance for me this week, and I'll send it over, and she can print that out for everybody.
I don't think you heard me. Robert Monahan says hello and can't wait to have a cup of coffee with you. He says you guys are old friends.
Oh, okay, yes. Tell Mr. Monahan I said hello, and I look forward to seeing him.
All right, thank you. That's all I got.
Any other questions for Mr. Rael?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Next item is matters from the administrator.
Mayor and council, I have a few updates for you. The cleanup days for April 24th and 25th this last weekend went very well. 7 large dumpsters were filled. The next dates are May the 8th and the 9th. We have not yet heard results of the dumpster audit. The police vehicles update, 1 unit is fully outfitted and on the road. The second is waiting for the cage to be installed. The third vehicle will probably be picked up on Tuesday next week, and then decals and equipment can be installed. Chief Romero asked me to let you know that he is in the process of getting a canine police drug dog. And I would like to congratulate Mr. Laforet and Mrs. DeHill. They present for us to get grant money for roads. They've done a lot of work on that, and Mr. Laforet has an announcement on that.
Yes, just a bit of positivity. Val and I co-presented at the NPR TPO rating and ranking seminar earlier this month. And there were close to 12, I believe, presentations, maybe 15. And we're happy to say that our Embargo Road presentation ranked #1.
Yes.
We asked for a little bit over $1.2 million to finish that roadway. So NPR TPO will submit that ranking to NMDOT, and then fingers crossed we'll get fully funded for that road.
Nice.
Awesome, thank you. Good work.
Thank you, Mr. Laforet. Work on the fiscal year 2027 interim budget continues. We will have our public input session at the next regular council meeting on May 12th. I reached out to Taos County Finance Director Emily Rollison-Elliott about the GRT for the fire. She said she may be able to give me an update on what to expect by next week. I reached out to Paige Ryan and Baptiste about the potential housing development behind the business park. I was told that they are currently working to close on the land purchase and would like to present an update to the council at a regular council meeting in June. I have a contact name and number to inquire about the potential of our current SCADA system to get more information to our utility workers. After speaking with Mr. Rael, one of the main reasons they need to check the wells twice a day is to monitor the chlorine levels to make sure we are in compliance. I will see what available options we are not using on our current system, and then we will determine if any additional costs are affordable for the water department if we need to make enhancements. I've asked Mrs. Lopez to figure out how many sewer connections have taken place since the sewer expansion on Cabresta Road was completed. She's gonna look into that. And lastly, we did invite the Questa cheerleaders to attend our meeting today so that we can applaud them for their state championship, but they had a previous engagement this evening. We will have them here at a meeting in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Next item is matters from the mayor and council members' council. Before we start this agenda item, I am going to caution you that this agenda item has been getting a little bit out of control, and we've been in violation of the Open Meetings Act. This isn't the item for you for discussion. It's not for discussion. It's not a question and answer session. It is for any announcements that you may have, any concerns that you may have. So is that all understood, councilors?
I don't understand. Open Meetings Act violation?
Yeah, it's not.
What is it? What's the act that we're breaking?
We're not, your item that you're bringing up is on as a discussion item, so we can't discuss it. There's not gonna be any
Well,
debate.
if you're not allowing someone to put something on the agenda, that becomes a problem, because then we don't get to discuss it.
Well, nobody's asked me to put anything on the agenda lately, so.
Nobody's asked. Okay.
You haven't.
I guess we'll ask every day. Yeah.
So no, that's from the council. That's not from the public. That's different. And Mr. Rael explained that. But no, this is nothing about, this is about this action, this agenda item. It's not about public comment. Public comment, I've never turned down anyone for public comments. Again, if you.
So you're suppressing persons on the council from discussing what can't be put on the agenda? Because if you're doing that, I want that in writing from the attorney and yourself.
I'm not suppressing getting with it. No, I'm
That's
not.
what this is about.
No, you can say whatever you want. I'm not. You're out of order.
So this.
Councilor, you're out of order. Let me explain. No, you're out of order. Let me explain. You are out of order. All I'm saying. No.
That just makes you look like a fool.
No, it makes you look like a fool.
Yeah,
You're not
you
making-
really think you're a dictator.
No, I
And
don't.
you think that you're gonna suppress it.
You're out of order. I'm not suppressing you from talking.
Listen to about you being out of order.
You can talk. Huh?
Yeah.
You can talk, bring up whatever you want, but we're not discussing it or answering questions.
That's different from what you said.
No, it
2 minutes
isn't.
ago.
No, it isn't. I said,
We won't discuss anything you said, and you can't bring anything
no,
up.
I said you can bring up your concerns or your announcements, but you can't. We're not gonna discuss them, ask questions. That's all there is to it. We don't have to have this agenda item on the agenda either. There's nothing that requires it.
Take it out.
I'm not going to, but I'm not gonna allow you to violate the Open Meetings Act.
But you're violating the other ethics of voting on stuff you're not supposed to be voting on.
I'm not, Counselor, that's an accusation, number
No, it's
one.
not an accusation,
That's
it's true.
Counselor,
It's true.
Mr. Mayor, I can't hear what's going on. It's real spotty, but I can tell there's some sort of an argument going on. I think this is something that we could probably resolve outside of a council meeting instead of the public having to witness this. If you can hear me, I would say let's move on. Because I can only hear part of it. It's you know, like I can only hear one side of the argument, but I'm not sure what the argument's about.
It's about discussion of items I might have to be discussed. He's saying that you told him that they don't have to be discussed because they're Open Meetings Act violations, is what I was told.
I never heard of, I said myself say anything about the attorney in this discussion, but let's move on. Does anyone have any matters or announcements?
I do have to concern, I hadn't been out, I guess, after dark in a while coming from the house. And the other evening as I was coming in from the south end, I noticed there's a big line of lights that are out, and it's really dark on that end of town. Is that something that we're working on or that we're aware of? Like from the fitness center to the bridge, the lights are not working. That was like last week, I don't know.
Yes, Shannon, we have the crew look into that and get an update for next meeting?
And, as, the administrator did mention, Healing Fields are May 24th, this Sunday. We have a ceremony at 1 p.m. And the public is invited. We're working on finalizing the program for the event. And that's all I have.
Okay,
1 p.m.
thank you, Councilor.
Nothing, Governor. I don't have nothing.
I got plenty of stuff. I'd like to know what the status is on the utility truck for the village workers, the water department. We've talked about it in 5 meetings.
Counselor, we'll address that at a future meeting, but you're getting into the day-to-day operations.
That's not day-to-day. The public works department needs a truck. I'm out there where they're at. I see that they're getting tools from underneath the sea, from, you know, which could cause injury if there's an accident.
Did you approve it in the budget last year?
Did I approve it?
Yeah.
I don't even think.
Simple answer is no, you went to, so was it approved in last year's budget? No, it wasn't, so,
So are we discussing them? So it sounds like we're discussing.
nope, we'll share.
Because that's what it sounds like to me. I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate your concern, move on.
So this isn't going to be a dictatorship, it sounds like to me. So we're going to have some problems with that. Maybe another SEC from this. Let's see, I guess I have some questions on Embargo Road, but since I'm not able to discuss, I think the whole council and mayor had a group text from a constituent saying that some millings and dirt were being put at an establishment or a business.
I didn't get that.
I got it.
I didn't get that either.
Did you get a Councilor Davis?
It was not an email, it was a text.
Oh, text, yeah, that's what it is, a text. You got that also? Okay. So since we're not talking about that, we can just misappropriate dirt or, you know, equipment, time, material to anybody in the community. So if anybody wants dirt, millings, get a hold of, I guess, the mayor and get you some.
Counselor, that's another accusation, and
Well, you're the only one that gets to decide on here. It's a day-to-day operation according to you, so.
this is the first I'm hearing about that, so, again, move on.
I don't know if I can ask you a question, Mr. but earlier I asked for the ICF or ICIP. You sent me a picture of the dates to meet with the zoning people.
I will get it for you.
Thank you, that's what I wanted. And then on to the next thing is, Senator Roberto Gonzalez invited me, and I guess the council, I'm not sure if you guys got a letter. Yeah. So there's something happening on, Tuesday, May 21st, 2026, at 2:30 p.m. Location is 121 Civic Plaza Drive. So I would assume that the mayor would advise his day-to-day business to make sure there might be a quorum, possible quorum of the village council
I
there.
didn't get that.
Right, you're right.
Right.
You guys want to see it?
They were just distributed today.
The what?
They were just handing them out today. I got one today.
And that again is, Tuesday, May 21st, 2026, at 2:30 p.m. Location is 121 Civic Plaza Drive.
It's a Thursday.
Is it? I don't know if we can talk, because there's no discussion. But anyways, so that's all I have, but, obviously we're gonna need to meet in a, and this is for the attorney, I guess. We're gonna need to meet an executive session so we can discuss this, dictatorship as a council and mayor.
Councilor Ortega said it was all he had. Next item is, public comments. It's the policy of the governing body to accept public comment. Because your issue is not on the agenda, the governing body cannot respond immediately, but may direct staff to address issues at a future council meeting. Public comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Have anyone here for public comment?
Just curious, do they have to sign up for that?
No.
No.
Oh. Good afternoon. My name is Norio Justin Rael. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Norio Justin Rael, and I was born and raised here in Questa. And I am here today because I have ethical concerns regarding the functioning of this body and to voice my opposition to the proposed hydrogen project. First off, I'm going to read some statutes that this body should be aware of. Quote, full disclosure of real or potential conflicts of interest shall be a guiding principle for determining appropriate conduct. At all times, efforts shall be made to avoid undue influence and abuse of office and public service. That comes from NMSA statute 10-16-3 subsection C. Next, governing body members, including mayors, must recuse themselves when a true or perceived conflict of interest exists regarding an item currently being deliberated by the governing body. That comes from NMST statute 3-12-2. The mayor has a conflict of interest in the hydrogen project. He is negotiating with Kit Carson on behalf of the village of Questa while being employed by Kit Carson. He's representing both sides of the transaction regardless of whether he benefits financially. Now case law in New Mexico surrounding ethical conflicts is sparse. However, I was able to find some. In Kennecott Copper Court versus the town of Hurley, the New Mexico Supreme Court held that municipal officials may participate in decisions affecting their employers, but only when a proper disclosure of a conflict of interest is made. According to NMSA statute 3-60A-17, a disclosure is proper when the official immediately provides written notice to the local government of the conflict and it is entered into the meeting minutes. Further, the conflicted official may not participate in any action by the local government affecting the matter in which they have an interest. In a meeting on March 10th, there was a vote to approve an application to the local solar access fund, and the mayor casting the deciding vote after deadlock. The mayor has this authority to break a tie in all circumstances unless the mayor has declared a conflict of interest. No conflict of interest was declared in these meeting minutes, despite there being multiple. First off, the mayor voted on a measure that will lock the village into contracting with Kit Carson in the future since they hold a monopoly on electricity in the county. Second, the mayor unilaterally submitted this application on March 6th without the council's approval. Usually this is okay if the council ratifies the conduct later on. However, the mayor voted to ratify his own unauthorized grant application, which is both a true and perceived conflict of interest because the mayor benefits from validating his own improper conduct. This measure should have failed for a lack of a majority. To conclude, I have prepared a list of additional ongoing ethical and OMA concerns. Should the council choose to extend my time limit, since these are ongoing issues, feel free to respond. Either way, I'm asking you, the mayor, to formally recuse yourself from all negotiations regarding the hydrogen project and solar array project to provide full transparency to the community. And further, I ask the council to void measure 2026-07.
Anyone else before the comment? Out of order.
Wow. That's a hard act to follow, but right on. Mr. Rael, I'm glad you are here because we've been asking for questions and our mayor has been silent for months. I don't know if that's a personality or a secretive behavior, I don't know. I'm here representing the voice of the silent. We have over 1,000, I don't know how many now, people have signed a petition against moving forward with, and we'll just start with solar panels. Over 1,000.
How much you need?
I don't know, but the point is, people are insecure. They're not coming out of their houses to be here. So we come and represent. It's not that we're the only ones fighting. We're just representing. And it's not a very comfortable position to be in. If we could get the whole city of Village who is against these projects that are involved with Kit Carson and other private companies, this place would be flooded and would make national news.
Bring them.
Like I said, a lot of people are very insecure in this town and they're silent. And that is why we are here. Now, when you took office, Mayor, we voted for you and the whole council. We want good representation. We deserve good representation. We have invested into this town.
we have invested. Some of us are full life savings to get a home in this town. We are the ones who fix up our properties. We volunteer in the fire departments. We help in the food banks. We pick up trash. We cut trees so there's less fire mitigation. We work the land because we like it here. Some of us may be new, but we have pride in Questa. And we see a future. And the youth of the future, like this young man here, we want to protect it, for this is our future. There's a lot of bright young people coming forward, and they will be hearing and learning and practicing alternative energies. So let's keep our minds open, and let's not build a dinosaur that we're going to regret in 5 years or 10 years or maybe forever. Something that we can't take apart, something that may pollute our land even more or destruct our wildlife. I mean, if we make this mistake and start building and building these kind of things without proper assessment, it's too late. And I want to cuss, then we would have really messed up in our future, who will be having children too. Questa has a lot of potential. Now, the last thing I want to say, Mayor, when you took office, it's there April 22nd in the Questa News. You say you will keep an honest, open, and transparent office. And we all said, yeah, that's what we want. And now we're in 26 and we're fighting for that. And the last thing I want to say is, we haven't heard about your meeting with the mayor. I know it was on the schedule. I mean, the meeting with the council, the war chief of the Pueblo. We'd like to hear about that.
Can you state your name for the record?
Jaya Maxwell. Yeah, we'd like to know how that meeting went. We heard it was on the agenda. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mariquita. Greetings. Per Canary Media, according to energy experts, converting clean energy into hydrogen to use that hydrogen to generate electricity later is in most cases a bad idea. The main concern is the process wastes enormous amounts of clean power in pursuit of zero carbon. That's a problem because several utilities are using these plans as a rationale to continue investing in new plants. The fundamental problem lies in the law of physics. Between 50 to 80% of energy value of clean electricity is lost in the process. Hydrogen is three times more expensive than making hydrogen via steam. Trump administration is threatening to cut billions for hydrogen hubs and phasing out tax incentives. Major projects are getting canceled. Companies are struggling. Hydrogen can emit dangerous nitrous oxide. Large-scale hydrogen power plants are less than 15 years old. Long-term data on safety and efficiency is scarce. This technology has no long-term studies. Per the driller, New Mexico's water beneath the surface is running out. Experts say a supply crisis is looming. A new groundwater report is surrounding the alarm in New Mexico, warning that shrinking aquifers, limited data, and fragmented management are pushing the state towards serious water supply crunch. Released by the New Mexico Groundwater Alliance, the report lays out just how much the state depends on groundwater and how little is currently being tracked to coordinate and protect it. More than half of New Mexico's water supply comes from underground sources. Roughly 80% of water systems rely on groundwater for drinking. Years of drought, rising temperatures, growing industrial demand, contamination threats are accelerating aquifer declines. Groundwater losses are reaching crisis levels. Less than half of groundwater withdrawals are metered, making it difficult to understand how fast aquifers are declining. It calls for major investment in aquifer mapping, monitoring, data systems to give communities tools for long-term planning. It urges development of a comprehensive groundwater management framework that sets basin-level goals based on science, local conditions, and community input. With climate pressures intensifying and demand rising, better data, coordinated policy, and community-driven management are critical to keep taps running and farms productive. Without these changes, we face depleted aquifers, declining water quality, disruption to water systems. In January, the UN declared our world has entered an era of global water bankruptcy, meaning damage is irreversible. We are using more water than nature can replenish. Aquifers are in long-term decline. 4 billion people live with water scarcity. That's half of the total human population. The 2016 Taos Regional Water Plan shows that 80% of our water supply is provided by surface water, primarily precipitation and snowmelt. That was 10 years ago. Why are they only studying a 2-mile radius of water impact? Kit Carson said it's doing an aquifer study. Can we see those results prior to proceeding? This plant will waste 9 out of 10 gallons of clean water. It will use 1 billion gallons in 30 years. Per New Mexico State Engineer Office, in New Mexico, water belongs to the public. Water rights are protected by law. Climate change will likely result in more severe drought conditions and predicted to result in less availability of water and impacts to water quality in the long term. Do your part, every drop matters, unquote. Water is not being replenished and groundwater can no longer be treated as an invisible backup supply. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Mayor, councilors.
Can you state your name for the
My
record?
name is Evelyn Ortega
Okay.
Coggins. I am a lifelong resident of the village of Questa. When we first came to this village, people were always asking, Kit Carson was going to do the internet. Why did we need the Kit Carson internet? Nobody needed internet. And now we can't live without it. When the village tried to bring the sewer system in, I didn't want the sewer system. It's right next to my house. But you know what? I voted for it because it benefits the village. Just as I believe this hydrogen plant will benefit the village. Kit Carson is really not having much to do with it. It's the village of Questa. And lady, I did the honor of listening to you flap your gums all the time that people were talking. You can at least be quiet while other people are talking.
Please be respectful.
You should be. Anyway, I hear the young man talk about, whatever the New Mexico statutes are that the mayor can't hold. I hear somebody else talk about the water that is, the aquifer can't be replenished. Yes, water is life. Water is very important. But so is our village. If we don't have money to bring our staff up to where they should be paid, if we don't have, we're always complaining that we don't have money for police. We can't pay them. Once we get them, we send them to school, and then they get paid more somewhere else, so that we lose the police. We don't have money for fire people. We don't have money to run our village. But no, we're too busy trying to figure out how to stop a hydrogen plant instead of working together to see what can be done and how to better our village. No, all I hear is naysayers. When somebody's saying there's thousands of signatures, well, I'll tell you what, I belong in Questa. I've been here all my life. And I talk to everybody here also. And they want the hydrogen plant. They see the positive portions of this plant. They're not just saying, oh, it's a monster, it's whatever. It's going to be right across from my house. But do you see me crying and complaining that it's going to be big, it's going to be all kinds of stuff? No, it's for the betterment of our village. Instead of all of us crying and saying, oh, it's too much, we can't do it. You know what, this village has not gone dry since we've been here.
Councilor.
When did it go dry?
Please be respectful.
I've lived here my life, and I've always had water, so I can't imagine where. I belong to yes. I have village water. So I believe water is important.
Thank you, Ms.
The
Coggins.
safety of the village is important, but so is our village. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coggins.
We agree. The village is important.
Good evening, Jessica Joseph here. Again, very grateful always for public comment. 3 minutes goes quickly. The lady's statements just now are a pure example, I'm so sorry to say, but of the lack of education and the ignorance of the community members not understanding what the project is about. I don't mean that to be insulting, it's just fact. It's fact, because she just said this isn't even KCEC, it's the Village of Questa, and that's where I laughed, because this, we all know, if you've read any of the legal documents, is fully a KCEC project. So this kind of ignorance and lack of education is massive within your community. And while she knows about it and she's greatly misinformed, there are even more people like her that don't even know that the project exists. So what I want to talk about tonight in my 2 minutes left, like when this group that talks about having chats and conversations to find out what the community wants, but then they said talking with the counselors. Okay, you are all at large. You don't have districts within the village. So my question is, how are you finding out what the people want? How are you actually representing what the people want? Whether it's with this deal that was going on, I'm sorry I came in late, I'm not real well tonight, or if it's with the hydrogen plant, or anything else that might possibly be presented to this community. I had a vision, and I have a vision of leadership in this community actually reaching out to the people and saying,
We do.
what do you want? What do you want? A survey that goes home to every single person and says, what is your 50-year or 100-year vision? Do you even want to be industrial? Because Questa was only industrial for 100 years. It has a much longer history without being industrial. I mean, I sat in that EPA meeting and I listened to what the people in this community have gone through. And I've been around other Superfund communities to know what the people go through. And quite honestly, I don't understand how any single one of you up there could wish this upon the people and the children and the future generations. I quite honestly can't get it. Why? Okay, I listened to you. I re-listened to the recording of the October 3rd meeting the other night, because you give some very misleading information saying the Chevron mine when you mean the tailings. Okay? But, sorry, didn't mean to move that. But in that meeting, you talk about all the short-term benefits. Have you ever been in a boom-bust community? And after that, there's nothing. I ask you why, to really think about why you're supporting this.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron Lucero. I've been here over 50 years. I'm against this thing. Who in their right mind would take such a risk with the future of our grandchildren? I put a lot of money and a lot of time into this community with several properties, 3 wells, and a lot of them are already going, well, they've lost a lot of depth. Let's just put it that way. But just the risk of taking this. I come from a ranching and farming community. There ain't a drop of water down here. And this is happening throughout the state of New Mexico, the whole Southwest. I get these reports because I have drought insurance. Not only on this, not here in Questa, but in other parts of the state where I have ranches. And they have lost water. And I'm just saying, such a risk. I just don't understand it. This lady says that that we don't care for the community. We care for this community. Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're up here standing. This thing about it is just about the money. 200 and how many millions of dollars? Why can't we get those monies and put it for something that's really needed? Child care, gymnasiums for the elderly here from Taos, Peñasco, Picuris, Pueblo, Questa, all kinds of other things we could use. I don't see why we couldn't use the money for something else. But it's part of this, for me, it's just a scam. Yeah. It's our tax dollars going to something that we don't want in the first place. And it's a bad deal for the community. Who would want to take that kind of a risk against your own children, your own grandchildren, your great-grandchildren? It's pretty bad. But anyway, I spoke my piece, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anyone else for public comment?
I'll be quick. Just put in my 2 cents. My name is Adelita Mead. I'm a lifelong
well, born in Taos, raised here, come back. Anyway, I live here in Cerro, and I do a lot for my community, not just the village of Questa, but I mean, just for everybody, you know. I work at the VFW, well, I don't work there, I volunteer. Doing a lot of things, you know, because I care about people and kids and future generations. And I recently attended a political event for some guy in Mora County. He's running for governor. And, you know, the issue that people are bringing up all around New Mexico is the water. You know, we're in a historic drought. We're not going to get, you know, floods anytime soon that I know of. I hope we do. But Project Jupiter, you know, I was just doing a couple of researches. Like, there are over 110 water-intensive industrial water projects facing New Mexico right now. Not only that, but, you know, they're going after all our natural resources, uranium, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of things that they want, you know, and who is it? Billionaires, you know, they want to get profit off the land, and we need to be stronger and stand up to them. So I do like the idea of maybe the village of Questa sending out a text, a survey that everyone can get, so you guys can get data from all the, you know, people that live here. But not just, you know, what we're saying or what the other side is saying, but straight from your constituents. I think that's a great idea. And look forward to more meetings. These are getting very, very interesting. Thank you all.
Anyone else for public comment?
So I hadn't planned on speaking, but I will now, and this is going to be short. My name is Mary Rose. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, council members and mayor. But when this project was originally proposed, like back in 2022, things have changed a lot since then. And one of them is that the climate of New Mexico, the Southwest, the Southeast, California, has changed. It's just taking New Mexico, we had an arid climate, it's gone to one of aridification, which means, and we are currently, Taos County is currently in a USDA declared disaster area because of extreme drought, along with 27 other counties in New Mexico. Why aren't there water restrictions in place? Why isn't there everybody on the news and in the newspapers saying we've got to conserve water now? The water is not an infinite resource, it is finite. And there's been overpumping by the OSC, allowed up to the water rights in wells, without that much regard for how much water is in the aquifers. And we can see people's wells are going dry, or they have to dig deeper for water. There are, the whole Southeast is under restrictions because the normal moisture is not getting down to the ground. It's too warm now. The temperature of the atmosphere has warmed, and there's a huge evaporation taking place with all of our water. We are in a global water bankruptcy. That is a fact. So please, please, consider the future generations. Consider this precious resource that we have, and we need to protect for the children. I got involved in this because I'm concerned for the children of Questa and surrounding areas. I've had a great life. I used to drink the water from the stream next to my house. It was no problem. Nobody ever thought about contamination or heavy metals that's gonna give you cancer or cause you to die. This plant is water intensive. It does not fit in the present time that we are now. So thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Anyone else for public comment?
I'll give up my right as a citizen and taxpayer of the village of Questa. You, Mayor, want to suppress me from talking and saying what I need to say. I also am against this hydrogen project. I've heard all the stories from Chevron and everybody else. You don't even have a water permit. You don't even know where you're getting the water from. We asked for a FOIA request. We can't get one. Why? Because you're hiding it. But yet, you, Kit Carson Electric, wants to do business with the village of Questa. I also am a taxpayer and a business owner in this community. And they're talking about grandkids and future grandkids. Let's talk about today. We're already out of water right now. I know a bunch of wells that are going dry right now. Without Chevron pumping 30 million gallons of water out of a well they don't even have access to. That's what we're talking about right now. This young gentleman here, Mr. Rael, is exactly on point. What you're doing is illegal. That's what you're doing is illegal. You can't be voting for your employer to make yourself money through the village of Questa. That's not gonna happen. And for you, Mr. Rael, as a citizen, you guys want to suppress me as a councilman? Right now, I'm letting you know, there will be legal action. There will be legal action against the village of Questa. Why do you?
Jessica, Meeting's adjourned. Thank you for being here tonight.
Did you get accused of spousal abuse?
Me? I don't have a spouse.
Yeah, I know, that's why you left you.
It's one thing for her to yell at that seat.
You know that, right? Yep.
I don't have a spouse and I don't have spousal abuse. But you have mental disability. You don't work.
I have to listen to you, I have mental disability.
Oh, like your wife?
It's okay for you to have up and not.
Roll them out. All of you need to go.
Exactly.
Why are you protecting the people? Don't run. So sorry, ladies. You don't know what's going on. So I'm not talking.
So, yeah, we don't.
So down.
Spousal abuse.